Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. Come on in. Great to have you back. Fox Robbins Show is all about developing your very best business ideas. We're here to help and encourage, advise, and be cheerleaders, for the small business community. And it doesn't matter if you're just thinking about starting a business. That's fine. Listen to us. We'll help out in that regard if you already have an up and running business. And whether it's running well or it's running poorly or you want to make changes, whatever the case might be, we're here to help. And I'm the co-host of the show. I'm Bill Fox, but the other co-host now get this guy.
It's going to be interesting, Roy.
This guy is spellbinding, if you can believe that. He's captivating and magnetic,
electrical charged. Mr. Bill, how are you?
Is Coach Robbins. Call him the coach. Cliff Robbins to you, but to me he's the coach. He's my coach. And we've been doing this show, Fox Robbins Show, since 2008.
2008, yeah.
And it's something north of 160 episodes or more.
That's hard to believe.
I stopped
really
counting.
Hard to believe.
Or it's too many numbers for me.
Yeah.
I'm a concept guy. And speaking of concept, we've got, this is episode 2.
Nice dissolve.
This is episode 2 with a very special guest, Roy Heffernan, who is owner The Life is Good Company. Very successful, very interesting. Hey, you want to start up a business, listen to this guy and keep it running and make it successful and make it grow. That's why we're having him on. He's a very special guest for the Fox Robbins Business Show. And Roy, nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be here, Coach.
Good to see you.
Again, thanks a lot.
And we're going, as I said, we're going to episode 2. And Roy, you're going to get into talking about the advantage for one thing, and tell us what you have in mind with that.
You bet. A few years ago, the company really started to say, okay, what differentiates Life is Good from all of the other great brands out there? And this is where Bert and John, I don't know if you saw the last episode, but this is where Bert and John really did a terrific job early in the game. They defined who they were, who they are, and who they want to be.
And they stick with it.
And
That's their guiding light.
They do.
Right.
They stick right with it, and it really helps us to make decisions on a daily basis. And it actually, sometimes when you can say no to something, it's as important as when you can say yes to something.
Absolutely.
So,
and you do have to say no to something if it is not aligned with who your company is.
Exactly. And there are a lot of opportunities today, so understanding where you're going.
Yeah.
So we actually found this book by Patrick Lencioni, and it's a terrific book called The Advantage. And I would really urge readers to pick it up. It's not a difficult read. And if I was to kind of cull it down into one message, which obviously there are more than one message by Lencioni. Lencioni's a terrific writer, and he understands business well. If you ask people in business, well, geez, if I only had smarter people, I would have the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? There are smart people everywhere.
Absolutely.
And your company has plenty of smart people.
They're in there.
They're plenty of, and they're plenty smart.
Right.
Well, if I only had access to cheaper capital, then I would be in a position to really have an advantage over my competitors. Well, guess what? Capital can be had cheaply in a lot of places.
Right.
So it's really not an advantage.
Right.
So Lencioni really zeroed in on what he considers to be the number one advantage for any company. And it's the number one advantage because almost nobody does it well.
And if you can do it well, that will give you a competitive advantage for sure.
That's right, and here's what it is. Clarity.
Right.
Clarity. Simple clarity? Yes. That's what we're talking about.
Simple, complex.
Now what we're talking, yeah.
Yeah, but powerful.
You know, it starts with your mission.
Yep.
And Life is Good's mission has not changed in 24 years.
It probably won't change in the next 24.
And it is a very simple one that every employee rolls right off their tongue. What is it? To spread the power of optimism.
Right. All your customers know that too.
That's right.
Right.
Now, Coach, it's not to spread optimism, because if it's to spread optimism, it's about me.
Right.
If it's to spread the power of optimism, it's about the receiver.
It's for you.
That's right.
Right.
And so that's what we believe is to spread the power of optimism. That's our job. Why? We believe that optimism is ultimately empowering. It just allows us to live our life in the most appropriate way for you, whatever that is, however you define it. And we believe it to the core. And so this became part of our culture, very much part of our culture.
And
Clarity.
the culture is always formed by the founders, and that's the brothers
Bert
and you.
and John,
Bert
yeah.
and John.
Well, I've had some influence.
But they started. They were the founders,
Yep.
and they set that culture, and they demand it stays.
This is the brothers.
Right.
They've done a great job with that, and they live it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most important thing. It has
Absolutely.
to be authentic.
You got to walk the talk.
Yeah, I mean, millennials of all people, they do not accept any BS.
Right.
Their BS button is very, very close to their finger.
And it's very touchy.
Yeah.
Right.
And but the opposite is true. If you're authentic, which Bert and John have been and continue to be, and our brand is authentic. We've got our problems. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
But authenticity is not one of our problems. We are. You basically get what you think.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever you think you should get from Life is Good, that's what we deliver.
That's what you deliver. Right.
Yeah. So one of the things we do is we bring our employees together. You talk about this issue of clarity. Well, how do you keep everybody on the track? Well, other than doing a really nice job with 3-year plans, which we do,
Yeah.
and other than doing a great job with an annual budget process, which we do,
Sure you do.
and other than making sure that every employee gets a really nice mid-year review and yearly review, which we do.
A real review.
Yeah, real review.
A positive review. Positive, there's a word again. Right.
Yeah.
To help them be better employees and be happier
That's
employees.
right. And it doesn't mean you don't deliver tough messages.
You do.
You can be positive without.
You do.
You don't avoid
Yeah.
the tough message.
You
People
can't.
People have to be kept on the track, right?
Right.
Okay, so one of the things we do is we bring together employees on a quarterly basis.
Yep.
And we call it the Jake Jam. Jake after our
Yeah.
stick figure Jake.
Yep.
And a jam because that's what we do. We go up to our distribution center up in Hudson, New Hampshire, and Bert and John and our new president, Lisa Tanzer, a really talented young lady who was the first president of the company outside of the family.
Yep.
She's done a terrific job. Tufts undergrad, Harvard MBA. More than any of that, though, she cares about people. She is clear with where she stands.
Clarity.
And she interfaces with Bert and John in a really positive way, and has actually taken some of the things that we were kind of mired in, because, as you know, not all founders are terrific operators.
No.
They're not.
They're not necessarily operations. That's not what they do.
I'm not saying Bert and John aren't good operators, but
No.
but they have strengths in. Bert's a heck of a visionary.
Yeah.
Does a beautiful job in kind of setting the stage for where we're going.
Right.
Johnny is a terrific creative guy and responsible for all creativity within the company, whether it's online, whether it's the graphics on the tees,
Right.
or whether it's even how we show up
Right. Yeah.
from a marketing
Sure.
perspective. And then so Lisa comes in and says, okay, that's great. You keep doing what you do. I'm going to start delivering on the financial aspect of things. I'm going to start delivering on taking care of our people in even a deeper way than Bert and John did. I'm going to start to communicate and keep clarity at all levels of the organization while you guys are doing your thing.
Internally as well as externally.
Exactly.
Clarity.
So they get up in front of the group. We have fun. We deliver messages that are clear and important, like how we're doing relative to budget every quarter.
Right.
And we're a privately held company, but there's no holds barred.
It's open book management to some degree, right?
You got it.
Yep.
And here's a picture of the gang just digging in.
Yep.
And we're all just kind of lined up there in Hudson, and we appreciate being together. We have some fun. This is an in-house band we have, and they play every Jake Jam.
Yep.
So hence the jam.
The jam.
Yeah, and these guys actually are pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the guy out front there with the hat, he's Stephen Gross, and he's responsible for our nonprofit that we're going to talk about in the next episode.
Okay.
Yeah, and then these other guys are, warehouse guys, 2 of them, and one guy in the back there is a terrific graphic artist that we have. And so, we get together, we celebrate each other. You can see the happy faces in this picture. This is at our, what we call the tavern at down in the Seaport area where our corporate office is.
Yep.
It is actually a tavern. Every afternoon you'll get, 12 to 15 people having a beer, having a glass of wine, and closing out the day together.
Sure.
Pretty cool.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Pretty cool. And we also weave in our Playmaker, and again I'm going to talk about more on the integrated model side, but this parachute is one of our Playmaker training tools that we have, and in this case we actually took our employees and began to have them experience the same thing that some of the young children experience through our Playmaker training.
Right.
Again, we'll talk more about that in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what graphic could represent our culture? What graphic could represent the clarity of who we are? And this is what we've come up with. And you see the roots of the tree.
Optimism.
Yes, if nothing else, we had better be focused on optimism.
Yep.
Every graphic that comes out of our graphic department, if it does not speak to optimism, redo it.
Yep.
Redo it.
Can't grow.
You're off base.
Right.
So that leads to a beautiful strong trunk of the company, and then hanging off of that we call these our 10 superpowers. Okay, the 10 superpowers. Now these superpowers are unlike Spider-Man superpowers, which I'm not sure if you, maybe Bill, maybe you can go from building to building with a spider web, but
I've seen him do it.
you have? Yeah, he's pretty
He hurt
talented.
himself a couple of times.
That would be a pretty strong spider.
I'm not too good at that, but what I can do is capture one or all of the Life is Good superpowers, which are all within our grasp.
Yep.
They're all within our grasp. And if you picked up the Life is Good book that was written 2 years ago, the chapters are divided by our superpowers.
By each of these 10 superpowers.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's pretty cool. And there's everything from stories in our book to actually playlists that if you, for instance, want to focus on courage that day, you can actually play songs that are focused on courage.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Those superpowers, it's fun, humor, compassion, up here would be gratitude, authenticity,
That's a biggie.
creativity is up at the top, love, courage, simplicity, and
Openness.
We believe that children are born like this, wide open. If you ask a 5-year-old to draw, what do? They sit down and draw.
Anything. You don't need to.
If you ask a 15our to draw, what do they say?
Draw what?
I can't draw.
Oh,
I don't know how to draw.
Yeah, I'm not an artist.
I don't know how to draw.
Yeah.
Something in our culture, something in our world, just closes people down.
You're right.
So we want to make sure that openness
love it.
is one of our 10 superpowers.
Right.
We want people to live, whether they're 100 years old or whether they're 3 years old.
Right.
We want them to live
Openly.
openly.
Right.
And so we
Don't try that building to building thing.
So I have a little quiz for you too. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. So when a new employee comes on board with Life is Good, we ask them which of the 10 superpowers, and there they are listed in a little more legible way, which of the 10 superpowers most speaks to them at that time?
Yeah.
Because it might change over time.
Sure.
So Coach, I'm going to go to you first.
Okay.
What do you like out of that list? And just tell us a real quick why you relate to that.
Me personally, I relate to the authenticity. I really like the fact that I'm going to work for a company. If I were going to work for a company, it leads to openness, obviously. It makes me feel comfortable that I can be me.
Yeah.
And the company can be them, and there's a great fit there.
Yeah.
And probably gonna have fun, another one,
Yeah.
by working here. And I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to be brushing my teeth saying, I can't wait to get to work today.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to going to work today.
Yeah, I love it. And it's even beyond work, too.
Yeah.
I mean, to be authentic with your family, to be authentic with the people
Everybody,
around
right.
you that
Yep.
you meet, even people, strangers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely.
Thank you for that. Bill, I'm going to put you on the spot. Which one do you...
I was going to take the creativity part, and that I feel, and your company, any company, but you guys, is really born and lives and succeeds and expands, based on creativity, and not sitting around, on the same old ideas. I also, the coach and I have spoken about this frequently, is that the biggest creativity issue we ever saw was at Apple Computer. It's a famous story of Steve Jobs, and Wozniak, wasn't it? Mr. Wozniak.
Mr. Wozniak, yeah.
That started the company.
There's two Steves.
Based on creativity, and grew the company. But they got to a leveling off where Jobs backed out, and he put another guy, a guy named Scanlon, wasn't it?
From Pepsi-Cola.
In charge.
Yep.
Yeah, Pepsi-Cola. A numbers cruncher. The creativity, Roy, went off the cliff.
Yeah, and Apple almost went off the cliff. They were that close to bankruptcy.
We're talking about Apple today as a giant. Apple was ready to die.
Yeah.
Die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We Coach and I use that because it's a big, spectacular story that illustrates, the creativity issue. Also, that guy Jobs, was brought back in. A board of directors, brought him back in, and now we know, and his whole issue is creativity.
Yeah.
And so, what more dramatic instance can you talk about than that? But it happens at all companies. We just use that,
right.
As an example thing. But creativity, to me, that's a big deal.
I love it. And this show is part of your creativity, both of you. So you're living that, and that's a positive thing. Because why? Because it feeds you.
It does.
And you feed others.
Yep.
So
and the big salary we get for doing it.
Of course.
Now when you force me to choose a word.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in love with all the words.
Right.
It's not an easy choice.
If I'm being interviewed by you, I mean, I'm saying, God, I've got to choose one of those, because that's just like saying, I chose creativity. Does that mean that gratitude is not important?
Of course not.
Or humor,
all 10 are important.
the authenticity, thing, and so forth. So
And how about compassion?
I'm a believer.
Compassion is
plus
huge.
the root of optimism and so forth.
Right.
So I have to answer you, don't I?
You did.
We did.
Well, picture this. You're a brand new employee, and you're basically interviewed by the HR group.
Yep.
And a day later, out comes to all of the other employees of Life is Good. Which one of these 10 is important to you and why? I think it's a wonderful piece of our culture, because you immediately get to know that person a little bit.
Yeah.
You get to know that authenticity is important and that creativity is important.
Gee, reaching out to your employees as well as your customers. What a novel thought.
Yeah, I love it.
You're listening to employees? My goodness.
I love it. So, as I said, we're far from perfect, but we try very diligently to, as partners, we actually spend time on, there are a lot more than 10 wonderful words out there.
Yeah. They lead to more.
Why these words? Well, we spent a board of directors meeting talking about our 10 superpowers. Why? We think it's important. We think that if our employees live with humor and actually embrace humor, it's good for the soul.
Yeah.
And it's good for each other.
Yep.
And believe me, Bert and John understand humor. They're very good at it.
One of my favorites, when I get married, my daughter said to my new wife, "Have you gotten used to his sense of humor yet?"
Well, it's important to laugh, isn't it?
It really is.
It's important to laugh at yourself. It's important
That's
to laugh.
easy for me to do.
It's important to laugh with each other. So I'm going to go a little bit weird on this discussion on this next one, because I have a special friend whose name is Rudy, and this is Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
And he's my little labradoodle, and And I've been learning a lot from this guy.
I love the way he lays down and all spread.
All splayed, right?
Back.
Yeah.
That's cute.
I know. So Rudy and I spend a lot of time together these
Yeah.
days, in the woods, on the beach, whatever.
Yeah.
And I've been learning a lot from him.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we know about dogs is that they truly do have unconditional love.
Absolutely.
I don't think people do, by the way. It's just
No,
my
I do
opinion.
not.
I think it's
I agree.
always conditioned.
Always. I agree.
We
But
can
the dog-
try.
We try to approach it as closely as we can, but there are conditions.
Yeah.
But not with, I've got a little Shih Tzu, and I had a much bigger dog, a Bull Mastiff, who's the love of my life
Yeah.
for dog. And they just love you, man. And when he's at the vet's and I come home and I don't see him coming running down the hallway,
Yeah.
I mean, going home stinks. You know?
So I don't know how many folks have dogs out there, but you understand what I'm saying.
They do.
You have a tough day, you come home, and there's your dog, and they don't care what. They just love you.
I swear they sense it too. It jumps up on your lap and just, cuddles you. And
So I want to close with a graphic from Life is Good that celebrates dogs. Why? Because we want to be the person your dog thinks you
I
are.
love that statement.
And
Yeah.
again, you talk about culture of a company.
Yeah.
This sends a really powerful message
Yeah.
to our employees.
Yeah.
Be the person that your dog thinks you are.
Right.
Pretty cool, because your dog thinks you're pretty great,
They do.
and you are pretty great.
Yep.
So we have an opportunity to celebrate that and celebrate each other as employees, and celebrate our customers in that manner as well.
That dog's looking at you with nothing but love in their eyes.
Yeah.
And they just think you're the greatest human being. You're the greatest creature on earth.
So at every turn, we need to have clarity.
Yeah.
And our 10 superpowers bill assists us to stay the course.
Mm-hmm.
You
guiding
can't talk about compassion as a superpower and not be compassionate. How can you do that?
Well, you're not authentic then.
Exactly. You would lose your authenticity.
Right.
So it really does reinforce kind of who we are, what we're doing with our brand, why we're on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are important issues. They certainly become more and more important when we see things like Las Vegas happen and other difficult times out there. We have to live an optimistic life. If we don't, we're going to be dragged down.
Yeah.
So we need to band together. We need to stay together. And we believe that Life is Good has a role in that.
Now, these are superpowers. You have people come to you who can't choose. When you say, pick a superpower that is most appealing or most meaningful to you. You have people who.
It's never happened.
Really?
Never happened. I'm not saying they don't delay a little bit, Bill. I'm not saying they don't think about several of them. But no, they always come up with
I
one.
would hope they would think about it, because I looked at it and I saw authenticity. I love humor because I am a very sick man. I am very grateful, as I say in the morning. My buddy and I, Peter and I, just thank God we're alive and healthy today. So
it's not a zero-sum game.
It's not a zero-sum game.
This is not,
no.
I picked creativity, therefore,
and that's it.
Therefore I'm not grateful. No. So, that's why we have 10 of them.
It's so many of them, and they all tie together under, I guess, the umbrella of optimism.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you tried out the superpowers on a customer or
Well, there's an idea. How about being creative?
or a
Forgiving?
vendor? Or a vendor. People who are doing business with you, like the lady here on the Cape or whatever. Have you tried the superpowers out on that?
I've never actually asked them to pick one, but I've definitely shared them because I think it says a lot about who we are.
It says a lot about the company.
So if we're trying to do business with somebody and we lay this out and say these things are important to us, I think that's an important statement.
That is a very important statement, and people want to do business with people like that.
That's right.
Quite frankly, because they feel those things too. They're human beings. We're human beings doing business with human beings, with human being customers and human being employees, and all
And
of
there's
these
that
things
word
resonate.
love. And there's that word love. If you remember,
Absolutely.
remember back to the marathon bombing T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We put
You
love.
put the word
we
on
put
there.
love on that tee. That's not a typical word you put on
No.
a tee.
Right.
At least not a men's tee.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And we did.
Yeah, and men bought it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now today the environment today is so deeply affected now by this internet phenomenon. You've got to have a website. You've got to get into the social media
Facebook, Twitter,
exchange.
yeah. Right.
That's going. You guys do that. Are you good at it? I mean, do you have any? Is there any resistance?
You create a lot of customer
to being active on the
engagement.
internet with you guys, or you throw your arms around it and welcome the participation on the internet?
If you asked me 3 years ago, I would have said that we're not very good at it. We were in the game, and we even had a lot of followers,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean you're good at it.
No, there's not engagement. Yeah,
Exactly, that's the key, is to
That's the
create
key,
a meaningful dialogue with
Right.
your customers
That's
and
back
potential
and forth.
customers.
Yeah, right.
And
Prospects,
for,
yeah.
for us, that mostly meant, are we engaging with the two younger generations?
Right.
And the answer back then was no. The answer today is better, but we have a long way to go.
X and Y.
Now, I will say that Lisa Tanzer, our new president, has done a terrific job. She has a marketing background,
Yeah.
as you do,
Yeah.
and she gets it.
Yeah.
And she's done a terrific job, and she's hired a lot of young people.
They know it's not a tool to them, and they've grown up with it.
Yeah,
the
it's
generation
very natural.
X and Y especially. I mean, that's just what they do.
Yeah.
You know.
So what we've done is, one example, Bill, would be when Prince died.
Yeah.
We developed a tea immediately that spoke to the wonder and the creativity
Yeah.
of Prince, and it's sold beautifully. And we gave away all of the proceeds to the Life is Good Kids Foundation. So that's the kind of dialogue. Now, that's the kind of dialogue that can make a difference.
And that's the foundation we're going to talk about in the next show, Roy.
Exactly.
And I'm dying to hear that one.
Good.
Yes, this is episode 2 of 3 episodes with Roy Heffernan. We had a lot to talk about him. It's so vital to getting a successful business going, and I hope you're enjoying it. We'll come back. This episode will be on YouTube for your convenience. Go to YouTube at the top, the search box, to put in Fox Robbins, FOXROBBINS. Click and go to the library of Fox Robbins shows, and watch our shows at your convenience. And also, you can send us a message, foxrobbins@gmail.com, and we're going to go on to episode 3 with Roy Heffernan. So join us on that episode as well. And thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.